Oh boy or girl, today we have a really cute banner that'll be perfect for a baby shower. And then once the baby shower is over, of course, it can be hung up or strung up in the baby's room. And let's take a look at what we have here in front of me. I've kind of just laid some things out just so that I remember how to put it all together. And we've got this middle piece, and we're going to put that together here in a second. And there's a little bow that goes on there at the bottom, and then we've included the caption boy or girl that we're gonna pop dot onto the main structure here. So let's just begin by putting together the actual center of our banner. The baby's a cute little angel here. So what we're gonna do, we've got this large piece here, okay? And we're gonna take, in my case, it's a piece of glitter paper. We're gonna get that glued onto the back there. So this is a good size banner, which it should be, because you want people to be able to see it at a baby shower or in the bedroom. And gotta work kind of quick here because there's a lot of area. I'm gonna focus my efforts here on the perimeter because we definitely want that to be nice and secure. And then I can just add a little splash here in the center just to make sure that doesn't come undone. And as you're applying this, just focus your gaze onto the little holes that are part of the background, and just make sure that those line up nicely. And then obviously make sure that you have a nice even border going all the way around the rest of it, and that worked out nice. Okay, so that looks good. Looks like we got that on pretty well. Okay, now we can take our baby's head and get that assembled. So we've got one black piece here, and then I've got a nice skin-toned color here. So let's get that glued into place. For the most part, this project should go pretty quick. So let's get our glue on the back of our baby's head and get that in place. Just make sure you get some glue out around the perimeter so that doesn't come off. We want it to be nice and seamless. So just match that up. Should fit precisely. Okay, there we go. All right, let's get the little cheeks on there. And there are some little score marks to help you with the placement of the cheeks so that everything is nice and symmetrical. Okay, and we've got a nice little wisp of hair here. There's two pieces, one large, one small. We're going to take the smaller piece and glue it to the larger piece. So get your glue onto the smaller piece. And the tip of this one is going to meet at the tip of the other one, and the rest of it should just kind of hug the curve of the bottom layer. Okay, so once we have that, we can take and get some glue on the main piece here, the larger piece, and attach that right up here. And again, the points should meet perfectly. And then that should sit just like that. Oops. I'm a tad bit off. Need to nudge that up a tad. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And then we have this gold piece here that's going to go just like that. Okay. And that is our baby's halo. All right, so let's get that on there. There we go. And just match it up with this little cutout here, and then kind of nudge that down. Make sure that you've got it overlapping perfectly. And with this gold foil, it really looks really angelic and really cool. So there we go. All right, so our baby's head is good to go here. We can get this whole thing now glued down onto this piece here. Okay, so let's flip this over and get our glue on here. We can go a little bit heavier on the glue at this point because we're now in some places 3 or 4 layers thick, and plus I'm gluing this onto glitter paper, so I'm gonna just need a little extra adhesive there to make sure that it stays nicely for me. So just get that head nice and lined up. I'm gonna lift this up just a little bit to make sure that my alignment is nice and precise. There we go. And just push that down, flatten it out a bit. Okay. All right. So we're kind of moving along here. There's the main part of our banner. And let's take the hands and put those together. There's a left and a right, obviously. And that's the main part of the hand. We've got a cute little, well, it's probably a onesie. I'm gonna guess it's probably a onesie. It's a newborn. So we're gonna get that glued down onto this piece here, like so. And then this little piece here, nice little accent. Make sure you grab the right one, because the one for the right hand won't work here. Okay, just repeat that on the other side. All right. Here we go. Just make sure that's nice and aligned. Give it a press. And a little accent piece here. There we go. Okay, so we're actually going to grab our foam squares and there are some indicators here on the, in my case, it's the, excuse me, it is the glitter, and it kind of shows you where to position these. Okay, so just make sure that you get those positioned correctly. They should be nice and symmetrical, like that. There we go. Very cute. Let me grab my foam squares here. And I'll probably do, oops, probably do 4 on each one, just to be safe. I think that should hold it nicely. And get those down, then we can start working on the little bows. Let me find my, where's my X-Acto? There it is. Okay, let's get those. There we go. Okay, so the first one here, and I'm not going to push this down just yet. I want to make sure that I get my other one lined up as well before I really press down and make it permanent. So let me grab the, take these backings off here. That doesn't want to come off. I've now been crafting for 2 days, so I've got a little bit of crafter's fatigue. I'm sure you guys craft in spurts of a few hours here and there, but I've been at it for what seems like forever. All right, so just get that lined up. Let me take a look at that from this angle. That looks great. Okay, we got a nice cute little angel. It's praying. All right, so now that we have that in place, this would be a good time to assemble our little caption. In this case, we're making one for a boy. Again, we've included the caption for the girl. You'll probably find that in your extras folder. Actually, I believe that both of these are in the extras folder. I'm pretty sure. All right, so we're gonna put this together. This is pretty self-explanatory. You just want to lay your letters down onto the backing shadow piece. Just make sure that you have a nice even border going all the way around. And, oops, oh, there we go. Looked like the texture was on both sides for a second there. There we go. And the Y. All right, so we're gonna also put some foam squares on the back of this. Get this kind of sticking out a little bit more. You could glue it down if you want. Totally up to you if you don't have foam squares handy. It's not the end of the world. We just wanted to make a very dimensional looking banner here, and this is working nicely. Okay. And no, I'm not pregnant, although I have put on some weight. All right. Okay, so we're gonna stick this pretty much right here. A little bit of the B and the Y can go underneath the arms a little bit. Okay, like that. And I didn't push it down all the way in case I need to kind of lift it up and adjust it. It should come off somewhat fairly easily, but that's fine for now. And let's take a look at the main bow here that's gonna go on our main piece here. So we've got the back of this, and that's actually gonna get glued on right here, like so. So we could technically get that glued on right now, as it's not really that much, it's not really part of the main bow here. And I'm taking a dowel and just kind of flaring the tails out a little bit, just to give them a little bit of oomph. And I'm gonna just put my glue directly on this piece here. Okay, and again, we can just get that glued right on to our main piece here. Just make sure you get it nice and centered and aligned. There we go. Okay. And then the bow is actually like two parts. Okay. So we have this piece here. And you'll notice that there's a little C cut into this, and that's just indicating that it's for the center of our entire banner, so that you don't get confused or wonder what's what. Okay, so I've seen us make these bows before, but in case this is your first project, you want to just grab a little bit of glue, pop it in the middle, and then you'll notice here that there's a little section that has a score mark. You want to place the two rectangles on top of each other so that they match up perfectly. Okay, there we go, like that. I can kind of squeeze it in a little more, I think. There we go. And just hold that down for a second while it sets, because there's a little bit of resistance here and we don't want it pulling away. Okay, and then another little bit of glue here. And we're going to take the other side and match it up with that square again. And just make sure that looks good from this angle. And it does. Okay, I'm just going to press and hold that down. Make sure that it gets a good grip. Okay, now it's kind of a double loop bow. So I'm going to take my next layer here and get this trained. This one also has a letter C in the center of it. Okay, and again, just take your glue, pop it right in that little rectangle in the center, and I'm going to do a line right up to the edge of that score mark. And just match the rectangle on this loop up with the rectangle in the middle, and just press and hold that down for a second until it sets. And just make sure that you've got it nice and aligned. Mine was a little off there for a second, but it seems to be fine now. And I did not hold it long enough, and it wanted to come apart. So be sure you do that. This paper seems like it's a little bit heavier than the other paper, and that wants to pull away. It has a little bit more resistance, so just be patient while that sets. Otherwise, you're going to think you're done, and then you're just going to create more work for yourself because things are just falling apart. Okay, so that seems to be holding pretty well. So I'm going to move on here and drop some more glue on the center little rectangle. I'm just going to make sure that I get enough glue all the way around. Bring that in, match it up again, and just make sure that it's matched up nicely, and just press and hold that down until that sets. Okay, and then to finish this off, I'm going to be patient here. We're going to put this one inside of the other one, and we're going to wrap it up with this piece so that everything stays together nicely for us. Okay, glue seems to be doing its job. I'm going to bring these loops in a little bit so that when I glue them to this piece, they sit nicely in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on this rectangle here in the center, and just make sure you kind of make a full box with your glue there. And get that nice and aligned with the center. Okay. And it may help to grab a little dowel or something to help you kind of push that glue through the layers there. And just be patient while it sets. Okay, seems to be holding nicely. There we go. I'm just adjusting it a little bit because I think it was a little cockeyed. Okay, and then you can kind of flare these out now. There we go. And finally, this little blue piece here, I'm just going to pop that right in the center and just fold it over so it goes behind the bow. And then bring this other piece over behind it. And then we're just going to glue that to itself on the back. And that's going to make sure that everything stays together nicely for us. So just press and hold that and hold it down until it dries. And our bow is done. And I think we're going to probably I'm gonna grab some foam squares, and we're gonna foam square this thing down just to give it a little extra dimension. Okay, so I think I'm probably gonna do 4 to make sure that we get good coverage on this and that it doesn't go bending one way or the other. We want it to be nice and straight on. Okay, that's good. It doesn't need to be perfect. No one's going to see that. And let's peel this backing off. This stuff seems to stay on better on AC cardstock, and I think it's just because the AC has so many little nooks and crannies that it just adheres a lot better. But this backing, boy, it is pain in the butt sometimes. And I've tried tweezers. I just don't have luck with tweezers. Ow. There it comes. All right. Okay, so grab our main section here, and I'm going to lift this up so I can see it a little bit better. But you can see that there's a little square area here. You just want to line that up with the square area on the actual bow itself. And then just give that a push. There we go. You can kind of flatten these out a little bit. There we go. Okay. And there's one thing that I did forget about this one here. That's super cute. And I think boy is probably pretty good right there. There is a little bow for the baby. And we're gonna make that real quick. It's this small piece here. There's nothing cut into it, but it's the smallest bow in your cutouts. So just make sure you grab the right one. And again, as always, I'm gonna begin by training this a little bit so that when I do bring it in, it doesn't crease and look unsightly. And then we're gonna pop a little dot of glue here into the little, in this case, it's a square, and just match up the square tab from this loop with the square in the center and just hold that in place until it sets. Yeah, I think this is Doodlebug paper, and it's not double-sided, and I think it's a white core, and it's not as permeable as far as, or porous I should say, as the like the AC. So maybe that's why it's taken a little bit longer for it to set, but that's okay. All right, there we go. So we just repeat the same thing on the other side. Give that a real good squeeze so that that glue penetrates and dries a little bit quicker. Okay, there we go. And just like we did with the bottom bow, we've got this little piece here that we're just gonna wrap around the center and glue to itself on the back to kind of hold this thing in place and reinforce it. And it's a nice little touch. Okay, so just pop a drop of glue right on the back of that and just connect them together and squeeze to get those to stick. And I'm gonna grab a pop dot, or a foam square I should say, and we're gonna put this right underneath our baby's hair, if you want to call it that. Okay, so there is my foam square, and let's pop that off, and I'm just going to lift this up for a second. And that looks darling. Oops. You know what? I put the foam square on the wrong side. That's okay. There we go. And I'm kind of looking at the little eyebrows and making sure that my square is centered. And there we go. All right. So the center of our banner is done, and we just have to put together the remaining pieces here. There are two little bows that go at the end of both sides of the banner. And by now, you should probably be a pro at making bows. But here is the main part of our bow. And again, just gonna train this and drop some glue into the little rectangular area here and bring one side over. And this paper is by Echo Park, and I can already tell that it's thinner. I want to say this probably isn't even 80 pound. It might be 60, 65. Okay, so this is there's less resistance and it's drying a lot faster. Okay, so onto the other side here, get our glue on there, and find that center, match it up nicely. Okay, give it a squeeze. Here we go. So there are gonna be two of these. You're gonna repeat this process twice. So that bow section, you're gonna find and take that bow section, put it with this piece, and this piece to create one bow. And then you're gonna obviously create a second one, which I've actually already done here. You can see what that's gonna look like. And there's the back with the little holes for the string. I'll show you how that works here in a second. All right, so that's ready. And what you want to do is take this piece. This is going to be the front of my bow. So this piece here is just kind of a piece to reinforce the bow so that when you do put string through it, you've got 2 layers of paper instead of 1, so that it kind of lasts a little bit longer because, well, we don't want it to rip. We don't want to rip through the hole and then ruin the whole project. So that's that. And now, just like we did with the first 2 bows, just find that centerpiece and just fold that over and behind and glue it onto itself in the back there. Just a little bit of glue will do the trick. Just give it a squeeze. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to take and on the back side of this, I'm going to glue this so that the top of this is flush with the top of the little purple section that we used to wrap the bow around with. So you can actually just put glue right here on this thing. You can go all the way down if you want. That way it makes sure that it gets it really good. Okay, so again, just line it up nicely there. And then I would flip it around and make sure that you have it nice and centered, nice and level, and nice and symmetrical. Okay, just give that a push. And there's your bow for the furthest, or for the far left and far right of our banner. Okay, oh, one thing I forgot to do is take and curl the tail out so it kind of sits out like this. Okay, so centerpiece is done and our little bows for the ends are done, which leaves the baby portion. We have to create 4 of these, and I've already assembled 3 of them off camera because the process is pretty much repetitive and monotonous, and I don't need to show you how to do this 4 times. The only difference is the letter that goes onto this piece here. So for each of those, you're going to need 1 piece like this, 1 piece like this, 1 circle, a letter, and then 2 little donuts, as well as these 2 strips that are going to make up our rosette. So let's start with the rosette so that we can create this and let this sort of set while we get everything else in place. So all I'm doing is just kind of zigzag folding these 2 pieces here. I'm going to give it a good squish at the end and just leave it like that. And do the same thing here. And I did ink one side of this with a lavender color just to kind of make it a little more interesting. There we go. Okay, so you can just kind of lay these out next to each other. And then what we're going to do is we're going to connect this twice to create 1 long strip that'll be joined on both ends. So you've got these laying out here. What I did was I put glue on one of these pieces that is kind of angling up. So this is a valley fold here, and I'm putting it on one of the pieces that are part of this valley fold. This is a mountain fold here, and we're just going to pop this underneath this piece here and glue these 2 pieces together like that. And just make sure that you have it aligned on both sides. Kind of helps to push it on both sides and then push it down as well. And you can kind of grab a few more layers and just kind of squeeze that together. Okay, you want to be patient with this so that it doesn't come undone. And this is where I bonded them, so you can see that it kind of just creates one continuous little strand here. And you want to be patient, let this really, really dry. I kind of did this process where I joined the 2. I did just this one section, then I did the other one, then I did the other one, and I did the 4th one. And then when I was done, I went back, and you can kind of just loop it around this way. You don't have to form the rosette just yet. And again, on one of these pieces that are part of the valley fold. Grab this piece with the mountain fold and connect those two pieces together. Make sure they're lined up nicely and just give it a good squeeze to get that to be joined together nicely. Okay, I'm gonna let that really set for a second before we start messing with it. And in the meantime, let's grab this piece. I'm gonna flip it over and take my two donuts, and we're gonna glue our donuts on here. And again, this is just to kind of reinforce the little hole where the string is gonna be so that it lasts a lot longer and doesn't get ripped. So if one of these holes rips, bye-bye banner. It's gonna either say Bab or Bay. I guess I could say Bay, but it's not the correct spelling of Bay, even though that's, you know, you're not throwing a bay shower. Maybe you are, I don't know. All right, so next up is this piece here, and you'll notice that I just took a pencil. This has little stitches in it, and I just took a pencil and drew right over those stitches to make them look a little more pronounced. Okay, so you can do that. And you can see on this piece here, there's a series of little score marks down at the bottom for the tails, and then there's one little score mark here to help you with the alignment of the bottom of this piece. So you can't get it wrong. Everything's gonna be nice and uniform and precise. Okay. There we go. All right. And let's just get this nice and aligned. Now, what I did the first couple times was I looked at the tail here at the bottom, these two little pieces, and I got those aligned first, and then I made sure that the tails to the outside were aligned, and then I was looking at the center, the little part right here, and then I knew that I had it all set in the right spot. Now that kind of got jostled around a little bit when I put it down, but that's fine. That looks good. Okay, so that was pretty straightforward. That's pretty straightforward. Now, all that's left to do is take our rosette, and I found that just kind of scrunching it together in the center like that, and then just pulling one side out a little bit. Kind of, you know, hold on. This gets kind of weird. Like that, and then just pull it out. Come on, Rosette. There we go, like that. Okay, now this is where a hot glue gun comes in handy. So if you don't have a hot glue gun, I'm going to show you what I did without a hot glue gun, and it actually worked very nicely. So just grab your glue, hold that kind of like that, and start your glue in the center here, and then just work your way out, just little dots. I actually am squeezing while I'm going around. A hot glue gun will make short work of this, but this also worked. I did it both ways. Okay, and then take your little circle and place that down. Make sure that it's nice and centered. Oh, and I should have told you to grab something semi-heavy to put onto this to hold it down. I have a small Yankee candle that I just popped on there. And do your best to make sure that that circle is nice and centered, and then just leave the candle on there until it gets a really good hold. Okay. In the meantime, while that's doing that, you can grab our little letter, and I did use foam squares to adhere this to the little blue piece there that is drying right now on our rosette. Okay, so we can get that ready to go. And then you're going to repeat this process 3 more times with the other 3 segments of the caption. And then all that's really left to do is string it all together and hang it up. So I'm going to be patient with that for just a moment or so and allow it to really set before I start messing around with it, because it's a little temperamental, and I used regular glue, so it may need an extra minute. Typically, should be okay by now, I think. Yeah, and well, I'm not going to risk it. We're going to leave that on for another minute. Okay, so I think our rosette is pretty solid at this point, and it is. And we can go ahead and put our little letter on there and then start stringing this thing up. Okay, so take our little letter here and get it nice and centered with our little foam square. There we go. And then all that's left to do is get some hot glue or some glue if you have more time, and get that glued right on there. Try to keep a nice even border all the way around this. I'm just going to use glue. That's what I did with all the rest of them, and it worked just fine. Just make sure you get that glue right on the little raised part of the rosette here, and it should adhere just fine. And let's grab this, and pardon my head here for a second. Get that nice and centered, and voila. Okay, so leave that sit for a minute. If you got a hot glue gun, it'll go pretty quick, I think. This might take a few minutes here to really settle and set with my standard glue. Okay, so let's put that off to the side. And again, the rest of them are done. You're going to repeat that process until you spell out the word baby and create 4 of those. But as far as this goes, all that's really left to do now is just grab some ribbon or some string, whatever it is you want to use, and just loop it through, feed it through, and start stringing this thing up. It's totally up to you how far out you want to space each letter. If you have a smaller area that you need to cover, then you don't need as much. Start with more, and then if you need less, you can always trim it, obviously. But you do need to work inside out. So for example, I'm going to go with an A first, okay, and just poke that string or the ribbon, whatever it is you're using, just through the hole, and then out the back. And this thing should last a long time. It's very well constructed, and get that string so that it's nice and straight. There we go. There we go. And just pull some more through. Okay. And we need a B. Give me a B. Okay. And then on the tail end of this side, obviously, we're going to have just a little bow to kind of finish it off. So I probably don't need to show you this, but I'm trying to be as thorough as possible so that there are no questions. Oops. Let's get that right in there. There we go. BA. And we need to string our little bow through here. You can kind of pull these little holes out a little bit to make it easier to thread the ribbon or the string through. And again, leave yourself some slack at the end so that you have plenty Okay, so there you go. That's looking really cool. And that, the gold foil really kind of adds to it. Makes it sparkle nicely. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out even more. I just would rather have more than less when I go to photograph this for your viewing pleasure, and I don't want to be short. Okay, so there's that. Oops, and let's start on the other side here. And I could have done this smarter and fed everything through so that I didn't have to guess at how much ribbon I needed, but that's okay. I have no problem spending a little extra time here with you guys. So we need a B. So give me a B. All right, so it's gonna go in through the front, like so. I guess if you've never made a banner, then definitely watch this, but it's not really rocket science. It's pretty straightforward. Feed that through. There we go. And our Y, hope this is dried. Looks like it is. Okay. So find that. And we're gonna feed that through the front. Come on, there we go. Pull that through, feed it back out, and then we have one more little bow, and we're done. Okay, that was kind of off camera. I apologize for that. Okay, and our final little bow. Again, I'm going to take and just kind of curl these back a little bit so that it's easier to. I got a lot of ribbon here. Oops. Just going to feed that through both sides. Doing it off camera again. Sorry, this thing is huge, which it should be. Okay, and there we go. So let's feed that through, and voila. All right, so let me grab this thing so I can show y'all what it looks like when it's done. I may have to stand up. So there is our final product. Pretty large, as you can see, which is great. And again, you can kind of pull some of these away from the center if you need to, if you want to make it a little bit bigger. But really fast project for the most part. It goes together beautifully. And again, you can make this for a boy or a girl, depending on the colors. We've included the extra captions. So if you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to visit our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. And if you do make this, I'd love for you to share a photo in the Dreaming Tree group on Facebook. Just head over to Facebook in the search box, type Dreaming Tree group, and that's where you'll find us. And as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.